Hi everyone, welcome again to another test drill on the subject agricultural economics and marketing. So I have your 5 questions. Let's start with question number 1. So sabi niya dito, the market equilibrium point for a commodity or a product is determined by what? So what are the factors involved when figuring out or looking for the concept of market equilibrium? So is it letter A, the balancing forces of demand and supply? Letter B, market demand lang ba ang nagdi-determine ng market equilibrium? Or letter C, market supply lang? Or letter D, all of the above? So alin dyan ang pinakatamang sagot? So the answer is letter A. So yes, the concept, the market equilibrium point, is being determined by the balancing forces or the interaction between two things, demand and supply. So let's define. Ano ba kasi ang demand and what is demand and how do we present it graphically speaking? So demand refers simply doon sa quantity of produce or quantity of commodity that buyers or consumers are willing to buy habang nagbabago yung mga different price levels nila. So ang typical na demand curve, it is sloping downward. So that means from the left going down to the right. Kasi ang relationship ng quantity demanded at price is inverse. Meaning, as the prices goes down, the quantity demand will go up. So habang bumababa ang presyo, ang quantity demand ay tumataas. And habang tumataas naman ang presyo, ang quantity demand mo ay bumababa. Ano naman ang supply or ang ating supply curve or ano naman ang supply curve graphically speaking. So it refers naman kanina yung demand natin refers to what consumers are willing to buy. Supply naman refers to what producers, or in our case, what our farmers are willing to produce habang nagbabago rin yung price level. So, ang supply curve naman natin, direct ang relationship niya sa price. Which means, habang tumataas ang price ng ating commodity, tumataas rin ang presyo, ay tumataas rin ang quantity ng supply. Habang bumababa naman ang presyo ng commodity, bumababa rin ang presyo ng quantity supplied. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, paglalapatin natin yung dalawang concept na yan. Sa theory ng market equilibrium, kung saan nagmi-meet si supply curve, at si demand curve, yun yung tinatawag nating market equilibrium point. So at that market equilibrium point, mayroon kang market equilibrium price and mayroon ka ring market equilibrium quantity. So ano ang sinasabi ng concept ng market equilibrium? Ito ay isang fundamental concept na binabalanse niya kung ano yung quantity lang na dapat nasa market and at what price dapat mabenta yung quantity na yon based doon sa interaction ng supply and demand. So ang gusto natin mangyari is that yung supply natin is equal to demand para balanse yung quantity na nasa market and walang nasasayang. What will happen kung sakaling hindi dito sa price level na to ibinibenta yung ating quantity? Like for example, at this price level, right? So at this price level, kung mapapansin natin, mas mataas yung supply kaysa sa demand. Therefore, nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na surplus. So masyadong marami yung supply sa market and masyadong konti yung mga consumers or buyers na gustong bumili. So para mabalanse yan, ang gagawin ng mga producers natin, ibababa nila yung presyo. Pero syempre, sa pagbaba ng presyo, bababa rin yung quantity supply nila, and that is why magmi-meet pa rin tayo doon sa ating market equilibrium point. Now, ano naman ang mangyayari kapag masyadong mababa naman yung presyo, for example? So, at this price point. So, dito, sa this price point, mapapansin natin, yung demand is greater now than the supply. Then, we call that a phenomenon of shortage. Napakadami ng demand, pero wala masyadong production. Wala masyadong produce na ibinibenta doon sa mga buyers. So, ang magiging mindset is, sasabihin ng mga producers natin, gusto nyo pala kaming magbenta? O sige, gagawa pa kami ng mas marami, pero kailangan nating itaas yung presyo. So, sa pagtaas nila ng presyo, tataas na naturally yung ating supply, but at the same time, ang effect naman niya sa demand, bababa naman yung ating quantity demand. Therefore, magmi-meet pa rin tayo doon sa point, doon sa market equilibrium point, kung saan ang price ang price at equilibrium quantity will be supply is equal to demand. Okay? So that's question number 2. Or that's question number 1, I mean. Dako naman tayo sa question number 2. The Phillips curve shows the relationship between inflation and what? So yung Phillips curve, pinapakita daw nito yung relationship between two variables. Yung first variable is inflation and the second variable is unemployment. Okay? So, ang Phillips curve ay isang graphical model sa economics or isang curve. Ang pinapakita ng Phillips curve is the relationship between inflation and unemployment. So, ano daw ba ang relationship ng inflation and unemployment according to the Phillips curve? So according to the Phillips curve, ang relationship daw between these two variables is inverse. Ibig sabihin yan, habang tumataas yung inflation sa ating bansa, bumababa ang unemployment. Habang tumataas naman ang unemployment, bumababa ang inflation. Okay? Now, the Phillips curve is developed and named after the economist William Phillips. Okay? So napag-alaman kasi niya sa pag-aaral niya sa economy ng UK noong 1958 na kapag mababa ang unemployment, ibig sabihin maraming tao ang may trabaho, na i-associate ito or it is resulting to a higher inflation. So tumataas yung presyo ng bilihin and vice versa. So, dinevelop niya yung graph na to explain yung phenomenon na kapag bumababa ang unemployment, tumataas ang price level or inflation sa bansa na yon. And kapag naman tumataas ang unemployment, bumababa ang price level or yung inflation sa bansa na yon. So, alam natin unemployment. Ano ba ang konsepto ng unemployment? Yan yung rate ng mga taong walang trabaho. So, huwag kayong malito kapag sinabi nating bumaba ang unemployment, ibig sabihin nun, dumami yung mga tao na may trabaho. Pag sinabi natin tumaas ang unemployment, bumaba yung bilang ng mga tao na may trabaho. Kasi unemployment ang tinitignan natin. Whereas ang inflation naman, we're talking about here doon sa percentage rate increase in the price levels of commodities na kakailanganin ng household natin. So, di ibig sabihin ng relationship na to, sa madaling salita, kapag dumadami ang mga tao sa nation mo na may trabaho, tumataas ang presyo ng bilihin. Kapag naman kumukunti yung mga tao na may trabaho sa nation mo, nagsusubside or bumababa yung price ng mga bilihin. Okay. Ngayon, itong phenomenon ng Phillips curve na to is has been defined by some economists as just happening. So nangyayari lang daw yung phenomenon na to, yung inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment in the short run. So, kumbaga, in the short run, mapapansin natin yung inverse na relationship between unemployment and inflation rate. However, in the long run, ang magiging shape daw niya or magiging curve niya would be vertical. So, how did this happen? So, assuming na ang bansa natin ay meron lang siyang, let's say, natural rate of unemployment. Kumbaga, maganda naman yung pagpapatakbo sa bansa, pero may natural na rate of unemployment pa rin in terms of resources. But let's just say, in terms of unemployment, maganda naman yung pagpapatakbo sa bansa, pero may rate pa rin na may mga tao talagang walang trabaho. Either that be dahil ayaw nilang magtrabaho or naghahanap sila ng bagong opportunity. So yun yung point A natin dito. Okay? So ito yung point ng unemployment, let's say 5 yan, na natural. Okay naman yung economy natin, maayos naman yung takbo, pero may unemployment lang din talaga. Kasi you cannot you cannot expect your economy na 100% lahat nagtatrabaho, lahat ng labor force mo nagtatrabaho. Hindi nangyayari yun. So ang modeling natin is mayroon tayong natural rate of unemployment na okay lang. So dito sa bansa na to, ang rate of unemployment niya, ang natural rate of unemployment is at 5%, let's say. Ngayon, ang economy, ang ginawa ng bansa, gusto niyang palakasin yung kanyang economy. So the country wants his economy to get stronger. So siguro nagdagdag siya ng government expense, nagdagdag siya ng more investment, binawasan niya yung tax, whatever that is, para lang matulungan na mag-drive up yung consumption sa bansa na yon. So nung tumaas at naging malakas yung economy ng bansa na yon, mapapansin natin from point A na punta tayo sa point B. So sa point B, anong nangyari sa unemployment? Bumaba. So 3% na lang yung bilang ng mga tao sa bansa mo na walang trabaho. Pero nung bumaba ang ating unemployment, what happened to the price level or what happened to inflation? Tumaas yung price level ng pangunahing bilihin. So yan, nangyayari daw yan in the short run. Okay? So yun yung phenomenon na nangyayari in the short run. However, sabi ng mga ekonomista, habang tumatagal, in the long run, dahil nga tumaas yung presyo ng bilihin, sasabihin ng mga nagtatrabaho sa point na to, tumaas yung presyo ng bilihin. Dapat magde-demand rin ako ng mas mataas na pasahod. Kasi tumaas yung presyo ng mga bilihin, hindi ko na ma-afford yung lifestyle ko. So magde-demand sila ngayon sa mga business, sa mga firms na nang hire sa kanila na kailangan namin ng mas mataas na salary. So ano yun? Ang pagtaas ng salary is pagtaas ng presyo ng raw materials, di ba? So kapag tumaas ang presyo ng raw materials, aasahan natin na babagsak yung supply. Or in one way of thinking about it is hindi lahat ng business kayang sagutin yung dinidemand ng mga laborers nila or ng mga staff nila na pagtaas ng sahod. So what happens is bata yung unemployment rate natin, in the long run, mag-a-adjust rin. Kasi hindi lahat ng negosyo kayang i-hire yung mga laborer nila at that specific price and marami sigurong mga staff or mga workers na magre-resign na lang kapag hindi sasagutin ng company yung hinihingi nilang increase ng presyo. So mag-gravitate din siya pabalik doon sa ating natural rate of unemployment. Pero kapag nag-gravitate siya pabalik from point C from point B going to point C, mapapansin natin na yung inflation na mataas ay maintain niya. So bumalik lang tayo doon sa dating natural rate of unemployment, but the inflation actually increased in the long run. Kaya ang shape ng ating long run Phillips curve is vertical. Okay? Let's go with question number 3. Ano daw ang objective ng isang rational consumer? Letter A, is it to buy as much as his income allows of the cheapest articles? So, bumili ng pinakamarami base doon sa income niya ng mga goods and services na cheap? Is it to avoid the most expensive commodities? Yan ba ang goal ng isang rational consumer? Is it to spread his expenditure over as many products as possible? Yung bang magkaroon siya ng diversity iba-ibang mga produkto? Yun ba ang goal ng isang rational consumer? Or is it to secure the highest satisfaction from his money income? So alin kaya dyan ang goal ng isang rational consumer? So ano ang goal ng isang rational consumer? Simply put, tayo as a consumer, bumibili tayo ng goods and services kasi gusto natin i-maximize yung ating utility. And ano ang utility? Utility is the satisfaction that we get from consuming these goods and services. So gusto natin as a rational consumer na i-maximize yung satisfaction na binibigay ng mga produkto or serbisyo na ito. So therefore, ang tamang sagot sa tanong na ito is letter D. The objective of a rational consumer is to secure the highest of satisfaction from his money income. Letter A, mali yan, to buy as much as his income allows, to buy as much cheap goods as his income allows. Mali, kasi ang cheap goods, minsan hindi rin naman ganun kataas yung satisfaction na nabibigay niyan. Okay? So, kahit pag bumili ako ng napakaraming cheap na good or service, cheap na pagkain, let's say, kung hindi niya ma-maximize yung aking utility, hindi masasabing rational na consumer ako. Okay? To avoid purchasing the most expensive. Well, yes, as a consumer, gusto natin makamura tayo. Pero madalas, yung mga expensive na goods and services, yan yung nakakapag-heighten or nakakapagpataas ng satisfaction level natin. So mali rin na ang goal ng rational consumer ay iwasan yung mga mahal. Kasi ang goal nga nila is to maximize utility. Goal ba nila to spread their expenditure over as many products as possible? Even though diversity is a good thing, which means naghahanap tayo ng mga produkto that is diversely organized para sa iba't ibang mga pangangailangan natin, hindi pa rin yun yung main na reason kung bakit tayo bumibili ng goods and services. Ang main na reason pa rin as a rational consumer is to maximize yung satisfaction na makukuha natin sa mga produkto na ito. Question number 4. The set of all actual and potential buyers of goods and services or products. Do we call them middlemen? Do we call them producers? Do we call them market? Or do we call them trading centers? Okay? So ano daw ba yung tawag doon sa set? So doon sa mga tao. So anyone who is an actual and potential buyer of a product. So we term that as our market. So, bakit kaya market? So ano ba kasi ang market? Market is a place kung saan nandyan yung mga buyers natin. So may mga mamimili tayo. At the same time, nandyan din yung mga sellers natin. Kasi walang market kapag absent yung isang party. However, in the context of, let's say, nagbebenta ka ng produkto, tapos sinabihan ka ng kaibigan mo na, ibenta mo yan doon sa Baguio kasi sa Baguio may market yung produkto mo. Then market now refers to the set of all actual and potential buyers of your goods and services. Kaya ang pinakatamang sagot dito is letter C, market. Ang middlemen mo, well, middlemen, they can be buyers, yes. They can be buyers of agricultural commodity, pero hindi middleman yung tawag sa kabuuan ng all actual and potential buyers. That is why it is wrong. Producers are your sellers, and they do not just mainly comprise of your market kasi nga producer sila, so that is also wrong. Trading center only pertains to the place kung saan pwede kang makipag-trade ng yung mga goods. Ang market, pwedeng physical yan. So, pwedeng you're talking about trading centers, trading posts, or palengke. And ngayon, na nauso na din yung internet, pwede rin siyang maging virtual. So, like, yung magkaroon ka ng Facebook Marketplace kung saan may mga buyers doon na naghahanap ng produkto mo, then that can also be termed as your market. Last question, very easy. Ano daw ang tawag sa utilization of products? So kapag ginamit mo yung produkto, ginamit mo yung good or service, anong tawag doon? Consumption, marketing, selling, or production? tawag doon ay consumption. Okay? Consumption is the process by which individuals or households they utilize or gumagamit sila ng goods and services. Ano ulit yung goal? Kung bakit nila ginagamit yung goods and services? To maximize utility. Okay? So yun ulit yung goal. The goal of consumption is to maximize utility. Marketing is wrong because marketing is the process of delivering products from the point of production to the point of consumption. Selling is wrong kasi selling is mainly you are uh, you are offering a particular good or service sa buyers mo in exchange for money or in exchange for the specific price of your product. Production is also wrong kasi yan yung utilization of raw materials para ma-transform mo into goods na gagamitin ng mga consumers or household natin. So therefore, the utilization of product is termed as consumption.